What's up, everybody? Josh here. Just wanted to take a quick second to tell you about one of our favorite companies to utilize during that pre-rut and rut time frame, and that is Brush Creek Monsters, LLC. Brush Creek Monsters is a family-owned and operated business. They are a no BS company, and one of our favorite things about them is they try and keep all of their scent products as natural as they can be. They have natural scrape vines that they will hang with their deer herd to let the bucks and does utilize them, and then they will ship them out to you quickly. They have a very precise process for collecting their doe estrus. There are no additives, and quite frankly, that's some of the fastest turnaround time I've ever had on doe estrus. I've received doe estrus that was collected the day before, so if that isn't fresh, I don't know what fresh is. Now, like I said, they're a family-owned and operated business, and they come in high demand. So if you are wanting any other products, I recommend getting with them sooner rather than later. Check them out at brushcreekmonstersllc.com. That is brushcreekmonstersllc.com. Peep rotation. There's nothing more frustrating than pulling your bow back on a nice buck only to not be able to see your pins clearly because your peep is rotated. This is something that I've personally experienced in the field, and I know Chris and Rick both have as well. In order to reduce this risk, we only pick high-quality bowstrings to put on our bows. That is why this season we have partnered up with Hooked Up Bowstrings. If you are looking for a high-quality string to help get you through the season, look no further than Hooked Up. Matt, the owner, is a fantastic guy. He is an accomplished competition archer and an accomplished hunter in the woods. You can visit his website at hookedupbowstrings.com. Use the code MOBILEHUNTER10. That's MOBILEHUNTER, the number 10, in order to get 10% off your order.
Hey guys, Rick here from the Mobile Hunter Podcast, and I'm here to tell you about one of our sponsors, Sadie's LLC, Custom Ammunition and Gun Works. Aaron Satterfield and his family have been turning out some awesome game loads that have been putting down deer, waterfowl, and turkey all year long. The Sadie's Fatty, the turkey load that we use, can stop a bird dead in its tracks. Check them out at saddiesllc.com. That's SATTIES LLC.com, or on Facebook at Saddies LLC, and tell them the Mobile Hunter Podcast sent you.
Welcome to the Mobile Hunter Podcast. Our mission is simple. We want to help you become a better hunter. We believe that mobility kills and efficiency will set you free.
Welcome back to another episode of Wild Calling Wednesdays. I'm your host, Jacob Sklenner, and with me right now, I've got Jeremy Cavaretta. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
Good, good. Now, as you can see from the wall behind him, Jeremy is a great hunter. These are all New York bucks, by the way. I think most of them are New York bucks. You might have some bucks mixed in from, yeah. But Jeremy is a really interesting guy with an amazing story, a near-death story, and kind of one that's a little bit emotional on top of it too, and you can probably tell from just looking at him right now that Jeremy's in great shape. He's a guy that really likes to challenge himself and push himself every day, and that's clear and evident in everything that he does. So I'm really excited to talk to you, and let's get rolling into the story. Could you introduce a little bit about yourself? I know we talked a bit about your background, and then maybe your current occupation, what you do day to day.
Yep. I'm from upstate New York. I live just outside of Albany, but I grew up in Frankfort, which is right by Remington Arms and Remington Guns. I was only a couple miles from there. I grew up there. Most of my family worked there. I worked there while I was in school, in the school program. And I was there. I went to college. I graduated college, and then I went into the military. And then I was in the military. I was in it quite a while, 5 years of my military career. I wasn't even in the United States. I was overseas. I was deployed, so a combat veteran. My main job was law enforcement, and I did a lot of special details outside of, from protective services to non-compliant boardings to you name it, I would do it. And then after that, I got out. I took civil service tests. I got picked up for New York State through the Department of Corrections. I started as a correction officer. I worked my way up through there. Now I'm a fugitive investigator. I do all the absconding details, do all that, and hunting is my life. It's what kind of defines me. Without it, I seriously wouldn't be here right now, probably. What
Yeah.
saved my it's I mean, my kids are into it. You know, I got two daughters that are 13 and 11, and they both love it. My daughter killed her first deer this past season, her first turkey just a few weeks ago, and they love it. And so, you know, I'm just trying to pass that same tradition on to my kids. I never did a drug in my life, nothing, zero. All my friends did. I never did. It was more important for me to wake up and go hunting with my father in the morning and then to get into trouble. So I'm trying to pass that on to my kids too, where it becomes this passion where that's, you know, hopefully they'd rather go hunting with me in the morning than go party with their friends. You know what I mean? It worked for me, so hopefully it works for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that too. I think you see that in a lot of guys that are just going the right direction in this industry and just not even to say this industry, but in this sport. I think that a lot of the guys that are going in the right direction are also trying to pass it on. And I think that's because they realize how valuable the thing it was. A lot of people bring up the perspective of, you know, you could get lost in drugs and alcohol and these other things too. But I would just say that the discipline it begets, like the way that you have to live your life in order to be successful in the outdoors, it requires you to be a fairly motivated individual. And, you know, whether you're working towards becoming an amazing shape or becoming a hunter or any other thing, being a great dad, they require the same actions and dedication. So as long as you're picking a noble destination and you're devoting yourself to it, I think that you're becoming a better person and helping influence the world. I love that you both in career and in your past life with maybe not life, but your past occupation with being in the military and everything you do now, especially through being a father, you're looking to inspire or help other people. And that's a great aspect of you. Just from the little bit we've talked, I've gathered a lot of that. And as someone that does a lot of that, I can tell you got cauliflower ear. I can tell that yeah, that's a do not mess with me universal sign right there.
Crooked.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm the same way. I had my nose get broken crooked, and then I actually punched back the other one, got straight with a knee in wrestling, which is funny. But so thankfully it worked out for me in the end. But with your day to day, man, like what are you doing each day? How do you find the time each day to chase your passions, chase being the best individual you can, and then also raise up a young family as well?
I'll tell you, it's tough, but if you're willing to do the work, you can do it. It's hard. Nothing in life is easy, and I do it mostly. Your kids are your children are a reflection of you, right? So if you're lazy, live off the system, racist, whatever, your kids swear all the time. Your kids are going to do that, right? But if you're positive, and your kids see you work. My wife works out too, so if your kids see your parents working out, they see you outside, they see you, you know, doing some farming stuff, cutting trees, cutting the grass, going fishing, going hunting. They're just an extension of you. Them are the habits they're going to learn through life, and you try to enforce these good habits on children, you know. And that's what I wish more people would do it. Because I've coached softball for many years with my daughters, from T-ball all the way up till they were 12. So she was 12, and I see all the different families. You know, I see all the parents come, the ones that don't come, the kids that are good, the kids that are bad, the good athletes, the bad athletes. You know what I mean? And it's all dedication to something and punching that clock every single day. That's all it is. So I wake up early in the morning. I go to work. I'm at work at 7. I'll get out at 3 if I'm in the area. My normal day is I get out at 3. I go straight to the gym. I put in an hour hard work, like CrossFit type workout. I go there. I leave there. I'll go to Lions Den where I teach, and I'm either going to be doing MMA, kickboxing, Jiu Jitsu, wrestling, taking and coaching. I'll be doing both of them. I do that. I come home. Sometimes if there's still 30 minutes of light left, I'll go for a run, even 3 miles. I'll go run 3 miles, and in the last 5 minutes, I grab my bow and I shoot. So I try and do like Cam Haynes, you know, the lift, run, shoot. I do it as many days as I can, no matter what the weather is. My wife thinks I'm nuts. I'll be outside, I'll be sprinkling, and I'm running down the street. I'm running in the house, grabbing my bow. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to go shoot." I got to shoot some arrows. It just became a habit that I made, right? And then when on the weekends, when it's hunting season, I'm a weekend warrior. I do take off about 10 days a year for hunting in a row, but I'll just go on the weekends like your normal weekend warrior, public land, little pieces of private we have over here. And I just love the outdoors, man. Shooting, hunting, fishing, you name it, wakeboarding, whatever it is. I'm all
Yeah.
set.
That is awesome, man. And what I want to emphasize too is like you're doing all this as what a lot of us would call a regular guy. Like, you know, you got your 9 to 5 and that's like so many people use that as an excuse to not improve certain areas of their life. And you and I live a very, very similar schedule, actually. I don't have the kids, but I have other things I'm dedicating time to, like obviously these podcasts and creating content and things like that. But I will say that I get up before work and work out, and I work from 6:30 to 3:30 every day, and I come home, I make dinner for my fiance and I, and all these things happen, but it's crucial that you find a way to fit in those things that improve yourself and dedicate you to becoming who you want to be. And you talked, I put out an ad for like, hey, you got a crazy story, tell me about it, maybe we can have you on a podcast. And you responded to it, and I loved your story immediately. And I just want to, like, not to take any credit away from anything you're doing, but I just want everyone to know that, like, everyone that does any of these podcasts, whether they're a guest or a host, is just a regular guy trying to make it work. And everyone is just a few decisions a day away from being that person, maybe many years down the road or maybe tomorrow. You know, so if there's something that you're worried about being able to do, or if there's something that you really have wanted to chase for forever but the conditions aren't lined up, just take a step every single day to work towards that goal. And I think that some of us have kind of a come to God moment, and maybe you would describe what you went through here as potentially one of those, but I think you were living your life the right way beforehand as well. But don't be one of those guys that needs one of those moments in order to change your life. And I think that, Jeremy, you're a good example of someone who, you know, you're not doing this for money, you're not doing this for fame, but you're living your life the way that, you know, a dedicated athlete would in every aspect. And, you know, that's something that I think we could preach to everyone is, regardless of what you are in this for, and regardless of what you want, just dedicate yourself to your goals. And there's some amazing things you can achieve. And to have those goals in every aspect of your life, I would stress is very important as well. Whether that's your personal life, you being a family man, hunting, you know, fitness, anything like that. But enough of that soapbox. I'll get right off of that. You talked about shooting at the end of every day, and now obviously you have a really chaotic day. I'm sure a lot of really interesting things happen in your profession as well. And a lot of stress probably builds up. I know it does for me too, but talk about kind of that relaxation, like almost that therapeutic aspect that hunting and shooting kind of provides you, what it does to that chaos of your day. Does it relieve that? Like what we talked a little bit about this before, but talk to what shooting means to you and hunting means to you.
The shooting part of it was, you know, getting out of the military, you know, having PTSD. I was messed up for a little while. Like, it was bad. Right before I got the job. So there was a couple of years where I was in pretty bad shape. And I was grew up big 3D shooter with my father. I grew up in archer shop. My father had archer shop. My father's buddy had archer shop. We all get together, and I like every day as a kid, I'm at this shop, you know, and it just, I love shooting. And in the military, I didn't get to shoot a lot and hunt a lot. I would come home for Thanksgiving because there's no competition to get that off. Everybody wanted Christmas and New Year's off. I would take Thanksgiving, and I would get the last few days of bow season and the first few days of gun season. I literally would go to my father's shop, just grab a bow off the shelf, sight it in, and then go out hunting. And then when I got out, I remembered just one day I was just having a bad day, and I'm outside. I'm like, you know what? Let me start shooting, really shooting. You know, not just sighting your bow for hunting season and going, like, just shooting every day, all year. Let me just start. It was summertime. I take the bow out. It's all stressed out, and I'm shooting, and I probably shot 100 arrows. Like, I just kept shooting. And I'm shooting, but I'm like, I'm thinking about, I'm still thinking about shooting. Nothing else was going on. Like, all these problems that I had, all this stress was just gone. I wasn't thinking about bills. I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking about the past or people that died in my family or anything like that. I'm just focused on my pin, my release, my grip, my stance, and making that shot. And then when you make that shot, you get that instant gratification. You're like, oh, and do it again and do it again. I'm going to go back farther. And next thing you know, I'm out there. 2 hours went by where I had no stress, zero stress. Mm-hmm. And then it just became a thing. I'm like, I'm going to start doing this every day. Every day I get to work, I'm done with the gym or whatever, I come back. Even if there's 5 minutes of light, if there's 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes my mind wasn't just focused on one thing. You know what I'm saying? All the bad. And even if it was 5 minutes, it was worth it. And I just started doing it. And it just became, a habit that I do. And a lot of people could have went to drugs. They probably would have went to drugs or alcohol or, anything like that, or going to see a therapist and taking these medications. And I was healed through literally like the bow. The bow's what did it. And then hunting's the same way. I'm out there in the woods. I'm just thinking about this goal that I have, and I'm not worried about anything else while I'm in that tree stand. I'm hearing the sunrise. I'm religious, but I don't go to church every day, right? So to me, I'm real close to God when I'm in that woods. And when I watch that sunrise, I hear the birds coming. I see the first animals, and it's like that's how I'm like, there's a God. I don't need to go sit in a church and listen to people talk to believe there's a God. And part of my therapy too is out there in the woods doing what I know my father loved to do, and my father's friends that are gone. They're all with me. They're all on the stand with me. But that's why I do it. I love it. Like I said, it's what defines me. It's that hard work. And I believe if you're a good hunter and you're dedicated, you do anything. You can do anything. Like, what can't you do? You're waking up early. The weather sucks. You're climbing a tree. You're freaking scared to death sometimes when you're climbing. You're in the dark. There's coyotes. There's bears. There's whatever. And you're still sticking it out to do this one thing. And then it lets you down. You go from the highest to high. You see that buck, and then you miss it or you screw up into the lowest of lows, and you get so mad. And guess what you do? You freaking go out again. You do it again. It's like this addiction. And you'll put in all these hard days where you suffer for 20, 30 days. And then when you kill them, just that 2 minutes right there just is so high that you don't even think about them 30 bad days you had in the rain and the cold and all this stuff. And that's what hunting is. It's just that rush you get, the satisfaction. And it's no different. If you take that same aspect in life and work, in your relationship and being a father, you're going to be successful in anything. Anything. It's because the more work you realize, the more work you put in, the bigger your reward's going to be. And it's like that with anything you do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I have a little bit of a theory about the whole feeling closer to God and like having proof as you're in the stand. I feel like we're all very close to our purpose in life when we are in a tree stand, or when we're deer hunting or hunting in general. And I think that we get a very deep appreciation for how temporary life is when we've spent months and months and months trying to get things to work out and failing over and over and over again, and it all changes in a matter of 15 seconds. Like, that deer wasn't there, the thing that you've been waiting all year for, passing on other creatures and deer and whatnot all year for, and then 15 seconds, the animal goes from breathing to not. And you get a really immediate appreciation for how short life is and how precious it is and how important all that work beforehand was. And I think it's very overwhelming. And obviously there's the innate providing for your family and the others around you. I think that's part of what the adrenaline dump entails too. And it's an amazing thing, man. It's really, really interesting. And I love the way that you talked about your dad as well in this too, because my dad was an extremely influential figure in getting me to hunt. And I think that we all have some figure that is responsible either in a good or bad way for you being who you are. Sometimes you learn from tough lessons, and sometimes you learn from good examples. And I think a lot of people can attribute some of their success or their demeanor or their hard work in certain ways. And from what I understand, you have a very deep connection to your dad, kind of through hunting, and your brother as well. Talk a little bit about how you got into hunting and how they influenced you, and how that kind of made you guys grow closer.
So, like I said, I grew up in an archery shop, and my father and his friends, they would go up north, early archery. It was September 27th at the end of September. It was early archery in the Adirondacks, and you're able to use last year's tag if you didn't use it. So they would save a tag, and they would all go. They did it for like 30 years. And as a kid, I remember being 4 or 5 years old, being so upset I couldn't go. I would sit there and cry. But I've been scouting up there with him, walking behind him, and my father was real strict. He was a tough guy. He was a strict guy, but he was my coach for everything. He handed me a diploma. He's the president of Board of Education, the president of the Fish and Game Club. When I've been on other podcasts, I talked about my father. You know how many people hit me up from my hometown because he taught the bow hunter education. Mm-hmm. I was a little kid that there was a bucket of sand that he would do this demonstration where you take any rifle and you shoot it in this bucket of sand. And then here's me, like 7, 8 years old. Then they shoot the bullet, it won't go through, and I shoot my bow, and the arrow would stick through the other side of the can to show how lethal an arrow is. So he used to use me for this demonstration forever. And everybody's like, I got my license from your father. I remember the course at Frankfurt Fish and Game Club and all this stuff. And so I grew up in it, and I wanted to. So my father would go on these hunting trips with his friends, and I would be so mad. And I mean, bad. My mother would take me up to the hilltop where the baseball fields are. There's a lot of rabbits. There's like brush. I had a freaking cork gun. I will go rabbit hunting while she sits down and reads a book. I'm going through the brush, shooting a cork at rabbits at like 5 years old all the time. And if it wasn't that, she'd take me down to the creek and I'm just fishing, catching, like perch and pickerel and stuff like that. And she'd sit in the chair and read a book because that's how obsessed I was as a kid. And so I was so obsessed when I hunted. Now that statute of limitations are gone, my father, I started when I was 12. You're not supposed to start hunting till you're 14. And my father lied on my date of birth. I'm born in 78. He said I was born in 76 because they don't ask for any, identification. So I hunted from 12 years old. I killed my first deer with a bow when I was 12. My license said I was 14, but I was 12. And I actually killed my first deer when I was 9. I was sitting next to him and the deer come and he goes, here, take this. And I shot the gun at the range and it was a 20 gauge because it was shotgun only here. And I shot a doe and I was 9 years old, And so now I'm 12 years old. I shoot my first deer and all the way up till I couldn't hunt by myself till I legit turned 16. So I was in a tree. He'd be on the ground during gun season because gun season you start 16, so I was 14 hunting the gun, and I'd be in a tree stand, he'd be on the ground, or I'd be sitting here, he'd be right there, and I'd be so mad, I'd be like, go on the other side of the woods. It's like not until you're 16, till you literally turn 16. I'm freaking sitting with you, and we'd be in trees bow season 50 yards apart, and watch each other shoot deer. I've watched arrows come right through deer. Because the deer come between us and he shot it. And I've watched arrows come right through. I watched my father kill deer. He watched me kill deer. We would look at each other in the binoculars at each other, you know what I mean? And he'd look at me and I'd be like this seeing him. He'll give me the finger, and shit like that. One time I missed the deer and he watched it and he's just going like this. And then he's going like this. And I'm like, what's that? So we get down, he's like, you're going home. He's like, you deserve to be home. I shot like half a clip of arrows at a huge 8-pointer. But yeah, so that's how I grew up. So hunting was really, really important to me. And then my little brother, it was the same way. He came up, but he started hunting at the right age. It was a lot different back in the late 80s, right? So my little brother, he came up, he did it right. We took him out, killed his first turkey. I took him out, I killed his first deer, and he really was getting into hunting. He started shooting a bow. We take all in the backyard. He's got a bow. We're shooting, and he can't hit the broadside of a barn. And I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" It's to where I'm yelling at him now. After 20 minutes, I'm like, "Are you not? I could see that you're not on the target." He's like, "I'm on a target." I'm like, "All right, shoot!" And it goes way over to the right or left. Well, come to find out, he's right-handed, but he was left-eye dominant. So then I did the test, right? Like, so now he's got to get a left-handed bow, and he starts shooting perfect. But the whole knocking the arrow, if he had to shoot a second shot, it was a bit because you have to switch hands and switch back. But yeah, so we got him squared away, and he shot at deer with the bow, but he never killed one. Never killed a bow, but he's killed him with the shotgun, and then rifle once they legalized rifle up here. Then he killed him with the rifle. But yeah, so we're really big into it. It was I was a lot more into it than my brother. I was with my father every time he went scouting, anytime he did anything, anytime they're cutting up deer from when I was little. My job was they'd be butchered, and my job was to take the tape and cut it, pieces this long and put along the counter, cut the freezer paper this long, and that's how I was brought up. I was just so obsessed with it. And I just did it all the way through. Now I'm doing the same thing with my kids.
That's awesome, man. It's so cool to sit here and look back at those stories that you have with your father. And I love, even more than I love killing deer and hunting myself, I love passing it on. And I really, really love, there are moments where I'll take someone out and I'll be upset that we failed just because I didn't get to see that look of bewilderment in their eyes. Like that's what I live for is like, I went out with my girlfriend the other day and we went to or my fiance, she'll crucify me if I say girl. I went out with my fiance the other day turkey hunting and we went under just a fantastic roost and there wasn't a bird there. It was like the first time in forever that there wasn't a bird there. And I was pissed off and she's like, I don't get why you're upset. And I was like, because I just wanted this whole day to see what you looked like after a bird woke up above your head and gobbled from 10 yards away. Like that's all I wanted was to see that look in your eyes and see that smile, because she loves it when they're like 300 yards away. She thinks it's really cool, and like she doesn't think it's nearly as cool as I do, but like I just love that look, and I love that you recognize those special moments you had and you want to pass it down. I think hunting sits on the shoulders of people that choose to do that. Now I'm a little bit guilty. I asked you a lot of these questions here because we're building up this fantastic story you have, and we're going to get into it right away here. But I would urge everyone to remember kind of like the qualities of the person you just heard, the different things that Jeremy has just talked about, and his dedication to who he is and passing on this sport, and kind of think about how that may have helped him pull through in this upcoming story, because after hearing your story, those are the things that I really wanted to ask you about. Is like, I wanted to hear more about your family and your dedication, who you were and who you become through all this, because that's what I'm really interested in. Is like, for you to get through this crazy tale we're about to tell, you had to be some kind of a special guy, and it turns out you very much so are, but you're very much so in a way that I would encourage other people to like, hey, you're many years of dedication away, but you're a few steps away from being on the way there. So here it is. So you were diagnosed with something pretty crazy.
Yep.
And I guess we'll go to the beginning. How did you discover that you had this problem? Kind of describe it in your own words here.
Hey guys, Rick here from the Mobile Hunter Podcast, and I'm here to tell you about one of our sponsors, Sadie's LLC, Custom Ammunition and Gun Works. Aaron Satterfield and his family have been turning out some awesome game loads that have been putting down deer, waterfowl, and turkey all year long. The Sadie's Fatty, the turkey load that we use, can stop a bird dead in its tracks. Check them out at saddiesllc.com. That's SATTIES LLC.com, or on Facebook at Saddies LLC, and tell them the Mobile Hunter Podcast sent you.
Kind of describe it in your own words here.
So 2017, I take off. Like I said, I'll take off like 10 days for hunting. I took off during bow season. Like I said, at that time I was working out in the morning. My shift was, my schedule was a little different. So I'd wake up at 4, I'd be at the gym at 5, I'd be done working out at 6, take a shower and everything, be at work at 7. So I would do that every day. I'm waking up like 3:30ish, 4 o'clock every day. And by the time with kids, I don't go to bed till like 11 at night. So it's just an ongoing thing. I'm always going, and I'm coaching sports, coaching wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, whatever, whatever fundraisers I'm helping out with. So I'm always got this crazy life where I'm always on the go. So I'm sitting in my tree stand, and remember, it was a real calm day. There's like no wind, and I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I felt this like this palpitation. I thought it was like a little muscle spasm once in a while. I felt it, and I'm like, huh. Because I feel great. I mean, I get an EKG. At the time, I was on a hospice rescue team for our state for corrections, and I would get EKGs every year. We do a run, we do a PT test, blood work, everything's perfect. So all of a sudden, I feel this little palpitation. And then the next day, I feel it, and I tell my wife, I'm like, I don't know if it's, I remember we were sitting watching TV. I'm like, I'm feeling this thing once in a while. I don't know if it's my heart. She's like, what? I'm laughing about it. I'm like, I don't know what the hell it is. It can't be my heart because, I mean, I work out all the time. Like, if it was my heart, I'd be dead in the gym, right? So little I know, she calls and she goes, you going hunting? It was like, that was a Monday. I want to say it was like a Wednesday or Thursday. You hunting that day? Because she knew it was going to rain. I said, well, yeah, it depends. She goes, it's supposed to rain. I said, well, it depends how hard. I remember going, open the door at like 3 a.m. and it's just downpouring. I'm like, well, not going. I go to bed. She's like, you're not going? I go, no. She goes, good. You got a doctor's appointment. I'm like, what? She goes, you got a doctor's appointment. So I go to the doctor, which is just the PA. I go there and she listens to everything, checks everything out. They do an EKG. After the EKG, she goes, have you had a heart attack? I go, what? She goes, you had a heart attack? I go, no. She's like, you sure? I go, I'm sure I didn't have a heart attack. She goes, well, I don't really know how to read these. I'm not a specialist, but I don't know. There might be something. I'm going to send you to a specialist who reads EKGs. So I go the next day. I see his doctor. He goes, what brings you here? I tell him I'm sitting in a tree stand. I feel this little like palpitation. And then I had an EKG from this PA, and she asked me if I had a heart attack because there's something on it, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, this EKG, and he had it. I go, yeah. And then he goes, it's perfect. I go, it's perfect? He goes, yeah. I go, huh. He goes, well, let me listen. So he listens to my heart, and he's like, it sounds like you got a murmur. I go, okay. And he goes, hold on, let me get another surgeon that's really good. She's got good ears, a woman. She comes to listen. She goes, yeah, it sounds like a murmur. I go, okay, that's it? They go, well, it's common. You're turning 40, or I was just 40, and, you know, it happens. You have a murmur. It's not a big deal. A lot of people have them. I go, okay. I said, for some reason, thank God, I go, can I get a stress test? Don't know what made me ask it. I've never even thought about a stress test in my life. I go, can I get a stress test? And they go, you want one? What do you do? I said, well, I was a combat veteran. I'm law enforcement. You know, I deal with criminals on the streets. And they go, okay. So I go for a stress test. And the first thing they do is an ultrasound where they check all your arteries. And I'm laying down on the bed, and they put the cream, and she's doing it, and she's doing an ultrasound. And all of a sudden she stops. She gets a doctor, and I'm laying there for a good 20 minutes. And he's like, take a picture here, take a picture there, take a picture. And I'm like, something is not right? This does not seem routine. And then so they do that first before you go on the treadmill. So they got to check and make sure there isn't any aneurysms so you don't die on a freaking treadmill, right? So it's going through. He's like, all right. He says, cancel the treadmill. When he said that, I'm like, huh, wonder what's wrong. So I sit up. He comes over to me, puts his hand on my shoulder, says, son, you have the biggest aneurysm I've ever seen. I don't know how you're alive right now. He goes, we operate at like 3, 4. Yours is at 8. I go, okay. He goes, you're having major heart surgery before Christmas. And this was not long before Christmas. So he goes, there's only one way to find out. You got to get a catheterization where they do the dye. The dye goes through all your arteries. So like the next day I get the dye, went from there. right upstairs to a room. And it was weird. Like every hour they have to they wheel me out in the hallway and check to make sure it's not dissecting or gonna get bigger, right? To keep measuring it. And I remember going out there first, and the lady's like, "Oh my God!" She goes, "This is crazy." She goes, "This is pretty awesome. Not for you." She goes, "I remember her saying this is pretty awesome." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "No, you're what we read about in books. Like we've never physically seen this." So now the next hour, the second hour I go in there, there's like 20 people with coats on. They're all doctors and PAs with notepads. Because now I'm this like test dummy that they've never seen this before, and they're showing all this stuff. So then I have, so what happened was I had an aneurysm in my ascending aortic artery. That's the artery that goes right to your brain. And when that pops, if that pops, you're instantly dead before you hit the ground. There's no surviving it. Descending aortic artery, if that pops, that's the one that goes down. You could survive that if people get to you in time, right? So this is the one where a lot of them athletes, they're on the field running it and they just die. That's ascending aortic. It just shuts the light switch off your head. No blood, just comes right off the top of your heart. So I ended up getting a mechanical valve through this. I mean, it sucks, but it's what saved my life was that the fact that the aneurysm was so close to the top of my heart, right? So as it got bigger, it started opening up the center of my heart. It wore my valve out like piston on a car, like your rings, right? Wore it out. So I started feeling that murmur, because what a murmur is when it's pumping, it's blood pumping out the outside of your heart, right? There's no seal. Picture oil shooting out of your head gasket. Kind of that kind of thing. That's what was causing it. So if it was a little higher, I would just died somewhere. Probably in the woods or the gym, I would have been dead for sure. So they split me open. I'll tell you, this is a crazy thing. I'm in a room, standing there like this, mad, going, I can't believe this happened. Like, look, I'm in good shape. Like, what the frig? The nurses would come in, pass me, and go to my guests and say, Jeremy. I'm like, no, I'm here. They look at me, say hi. They just assumed I wasn't the one having heart surgery, right? Wow. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, I wish it wasn't true, So they sit there, and I couldn't even see my kids. Thank God for FaceTime, I was able to FaceTime with them, and everything was, it was crazy. It was like, it didn't seem like it was real until I was on that stretcher. We're going down the hallway, and you see the lights going, over your face. And my wife's right here, and you get to these doors to where she can't come anymore. And you got to say goodbye. That's when the shit really, I'm like, oh man, this is fucking real. Go in this room, and there's just people everywhere. And they're all having surgeries. And then they wheel me out to the surgery room, where the operating room is. I go in there, it's like a real nice, clean room with these bright lights. This table's like up on almost like it's just raised up with a spotlight on it, and everything's so clean. There's all these tools, and I get on the bed, and they go, "What music you listen to?" I go, "Country." They go, "You listen to country?" They're like, "You listen to country?" All nurses are like, "Yeah." They go, "Usually people are so scared that they say, I don't care, and we listen what the doctors like, and usually from the Middle East, so it's some weird stuff," they said. So I will never forget, they had Garth Brooks on. It was like, this good? I'm like, yeah, it's good. So I'm laying there, and the lady comes, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to give you something to make you relax." I go, "Don't bullshit me." I go, "I know it." She started laughing, so she puts the stuff, that IVs in my neck and my groin, all kinds of stuff, right? So she puts that in the IV. I'm laying there. I remember closing my eyes, and all of a sudden I open them, and she's like, right here. She's like, "Oh, you're still with us. I'll be back." And then that was the last thing I remembered. And then I wake up. Now, this is where it gets crazy, because I wake up, and I felt I was captured. Like I'm back in the military, and I got captured. And I'm just laying there motionless going, something's not right. And I'm not moving. I'm just using my eyes like I'm hiding from somebody, right? Using my eyes, I see a clock. And I'm looking at the clock, and for some, my eyes couldn't focus. And it looks so blurry. And I keep blinking, and all of a sudden I started making it out, right? And I remember it was like 2 minutes to 4. I'm like, oh, And so I'm like, 2 minutes before, okay. Is there a calendar? Can I see anything? There's a door, and I see people walking by. That's all training you would get. So I'm like laying there trying to count how many shadows I see going by, right? So you know how many bad people there are. I'm thinking, I'm trying to look for, where am I? Is there something identifying? And all of a sudden, that probably went on for 5-10 minutes. Then it just hit me. I feel something in my mouth, and I remember touching, and all these hoses coming out of my mouth, right? And I'm like, oh, that shit was real. Now it hit me. I'm like, oh, I had surgery. It was hard surgery. So I'm sitting there going, damn, okay, somebody's going to come. So I close my eyes, open them up, and I look, and it's a couple minutes to 4. Like, all right, close my eyes. Felt like I was closing for 10, 15 minutes. Open them up. It's 2 minutes to 4. Go, the clock's got to be broken. And I kept doing it. And then finally I saw it start moving. I must have been just blinking. It felt like my eyes were shut for periods of time, and it wasn't.
Wow.
So finally a lady come in. She's like, oh, how you doing? I remember giving her the thumbs up. Then after that, people come in, and I was just like, give them the thumbs up. And then we go to the room where they got to take everything out. And that sucked. We were taking the hose out, and then they take the camera. The camera really sucked. It felt like they were pulling my intestines out with this camera. And then the weird thing after that, they had me in a room. They go, and I'm going to my room now. So they go, we're going to take you to the room. We're going to put you in a wheelchair. I'm like, I got to go in a wheelchair? Like, I could barely talk because I was real raspy. And I go, I'm going in a wheelchair. And she's like, well, unless you can walk. I go, can I walk? They go, you want to walk? I go, can I? They go, I don't know. I said, well, if I could walk, I want to walk. They're like, are you serious? I go, yeah. She goes, well, I'll be back. Let me go get the doctor. So she goes, gets the surgeon. They come back. He goes, son, you really want to walk? I go, can I walk? He goes, probably. I go, how many people have walked? He goes, nobody. I said, well, I'm definitely walking. He goes, well, you got all this stuff. I got to go get people. It's like, go get people. So they come out. It's like, because I had all them, like the trees with the wheels. It's got hoses. I got drains out of my chest and my thigh and all kinds of stuff, right? So they got to push all these things on wheels. I walked from there all the way down the room into my room and sat on my bed. And I remember shuffle. I remember the person, one of them tried to grab my arm, and I was like, don't touch me. I go, I got to do it myself. I walked down, and there was like 20 doctors. Everybody's clapping. All the nurses as I passed them, and I remember going, I couldn't look, so I was just like, because I had all the things in my neck. I just go. I sit down in the bed, and then it felt like I ran a marathon. That 50 feet or whatever it was, I felt like I ran a marathon. I sit down. So I was one of the first ones they ever had like walk. So fast forward, right, I get done, right? I'm out of work for 3 months. I mean, right to the day, I'm going back as soon as I can. I'm going back to work. I got to go to cardiac rehab. I go there, walk in, there's a desk, and they go, you got to go around the corner. So I go around the corner, and there's all these people in line. I'm sitting in line, and they go, name? I go, Jeremy Cavaretta. They go, can't find you. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be here at rehab. They go, well, what'd you have done? Your knee or your shoulder? I go, what? I have my heart done. She goes, you're over there. They assumed when I walked in, they didn't even ask I stopped at the cardiac desk. They go, you got to go around the corner. They just had no idea that I had heart surgery. I lasted 3 days. So they have you walk. I got in trouble the whole time I was there. They're like, go walk a normal pace with these monitors on. I'm walking. The doctor comes out, sees me. He's like, walk a normal pace. I'm like, this is how I walk. I don't know what you want. So you don't want me to not walk my pace. You want me to walk the average person's pace. I'm not average. I'll be average today. That's what I kept telling her. I guess I'll be average today. And I would walk, and then I'd get on, do all these exercises, and they monitor my heart. And when you're done, you go walk again. They want to see how long it takes to recover. They want to see your heart rate go up and how long it takes to recover. So then the third day, they get me on a treadmill. They're like, I'm working way up there. How you feel? I was like, good. I was doing jumping jacks. They go, don't do that. I'm like, I feel good. They're like, all right, we're going to start jogging. They go a slow jog. My slow jog is 6.5. That's what I'll run on a treadmill. When I do these, I'll 6.5 and I'll go up to 8, come back down to 6.5, go up to 10. But 6.5 is my baseline. When he walked away and he sat down at the desk where the monitor was, he lost it. He come running over. He's hitting the thing. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "You said my slow jog. This is my jog." He goes, "I'll give you a 3." So he gets me down 3 miles an hour. We're done. I go walk the hallway. He comes back and he goes, "Listen, how you feel?" I said, "Great." He goes, "This is just a waste of your time." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Your heart is recovering so good. There's no point of you coming." I was like, "So I don't have to come here?" He goes, "No, unless you really want to, you don't have to. Your heart is perfect, right?" So I'm like, "All right." So I leave and I go back I said, after I went back to work, it was the week I went back to work. I asked the doctor, "Can I go to the gym?" They said, "Well, be careful. Don't lift too much. You can't do what you did before." I go, "I get that." I go there and I go to the gym. I couldn't even do one push-up. I had to do off my knees. I had no strength at all. Zero. I went from not being able to do a push-up. Within 3 weeks, I was up to, or no, within a month, it was 1 month a day, I was up to 80-pound dumbbells. Then the second month, I was up to 100-pound dumbbells benching. Then within 1 year, I entered a Jiu Jitsu competition and I won my division and went up to the super heavyweight division and took second in that. And they said, I had a doctor come in and said, "You're never going to be able to do this stuff again. Think about your career." I don't know who this guy was. I still want to slap him. Like, he come in there and wrecked I was like at the lowest of lows. After surgery, I got this guy come in, probably more of a liberal. He's like, "You better think your job. You're not going to be able to wrestle or fight anymore. All this stuff." And so I just want to prove them all wrong. So 1 year from there, I competed. And not only that, I went up to 250 plus pound division. I weighed at the time, I think I was like 178. And I went against 250 plus pounders and took second. So I just wanted to prove that, they said I can't do it. I've always been that person. Tell me I can't do it, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, I'm going to do it. And that's something that my kids see. How many times people told me, "You're not going to do this, you can't do this, you can't do that." Oh, watch me, I'm going to do it. Ain't nothing stopping me. Because your mind is the strongest thing. It's crazy what your mind can do. If your mind is strong, your body's going to follow. It don't matter. It's you got to have the right mentality, I guess. You got to know that it's going to be hard. You can't go in there thinking, "I'm just going to do everything." You're going to go in there. It's going to be hard. I got these steps to take. I have to complete each of these small goals to complete the big one. And that's just how I do with everything I do, and it's just pass on, and I help people, and the story helped a lot of people. And I still help people at the gym. They see me and they go, "This lady, she saw me, the surgery and stuff." And she comes, I didn't see her for a while. And she goes, and she never talked. She went there for like 2 years with me, and she isn't gone for a long time. All of a sudden she's there. She taps me on the shoulder. She goes, "Jeremy, I want to tell you, I'm back because of you." I said, she goes, "If you could do this, I could do this." I thought I had some problems with my back or my shoulder, and she stayed there for like 3 years and I switched gyms after, but she was there the whole time. And that felt so good that I influenced this person. And I was like, "Oh, I'm onto something." And I started helping people all the time, people at work, friends, family members. It don't matter. I can't tell you how many people I bring to the gym. It's free for a week. Come, because the hardest thing to do is walk through that door. That's the hardest thing you're going to do is walk through. Once you get through that door, it's easy. Same thing with jiu-jitsu, same thing with fighting. The hardest thing is you could talk and be I could do this, I could do that. It's walking through the door is the hardest thing. Once you get through that door, then it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Anything you do in life.
Yeah. It's taking that step. And, there's a lot of people like you that when someone tells them they can't do something, it's just kind of like they sign their death note right there, and I get that feeling. I get that motivation inside me too, where I'm just like, if someone tells me no, I'm absolutely going to do it. Like, especially when always when it's something that like they put a limitation on my ability, and that motivates me like crazy. And I think beyond that, being able to impose that boundary on yourself when someone's disappointed maybe with your performance in something, and you're like, damn, that's not who I am. Like I'm going to exceed this expectation, and it allows you to have some really serious conversations with yourself about who you want to become and what you're willing to do to get there. And I think, I've never been mad at someone for putting a limitation on me. It's like they're just uninformed. Like they just don't know who they're talking to. Yeah, they're not aware. And I think that's a good message to pass on to your kids as well. Like you were saying, is like the second someone tells you you can't, you absolutely can. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, like you should never feel like you are incapable of something. And you should know that you're only a certain amount of hard work away from being there. And that's a very freeing feeling to know that you can accomplish something or you can prevent a hardship because of hard work. It allows you to know that there is a solution. And some of the most frustrating things I go through at work are when everything was done right and then something out of my control caused it to go wrong. It's like, it makes me feel worse than if I caused the error, because then, like, how do you prevent that?
Right.
It makes you feel more helpless.
Now I'm proof that hard work will beat talent all the time.
Yeah.
Unless talent works hard.
Yep.
So I teach kids that I teach. I'm an example. Wrestling, you were a wrestler. I wasn't a talented wrestler, but I outworked people. My teachers would see me running by the school while they're going to school. I'm running in the snow, coming home. I've already passed the school, coming back. They'd be waving to me. I go home, shower, change, get on the bus, and go to school. But that's what I had to do to make up the difference for the lack of talent. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's everything I've done. I wasn't the fastest kid. I wasn't the strongest kid, but I was the hardest working kid. Mm-hmm. Every sport I played, I worked as hard as I can to get where I am. And if I don't, all my fights, I was ranked number 1 in the nation when I was 18 years old at fighting. I won the Junior Olympics, right? Nobody said I'll do it. You're never going to do it. We had no money. They had fundraisers for me and bottle drives in order for me to even go to the Superdome in New Orleans to fight.
That's cool.
And I fought in 3 different divisions. I took 2 golds and a bronze. And up to then, I've never, I think it was like 6 years. I was never beaten in any of the fights. There's newspaper articles. I was the person that I actually would get permission hunting places when I go up there and I say, I'm Jeremy Cavaretta. They're like, oh, you're that fighter kid that's in the paper. And they swear to God on my kids and let me hunt the property because he saw me in an article. That was a true story. So just, I had to work hard in everything I do, the military, this job I'm in. I've always started from the bottom and just try and make it to the top. And let me tell you, you'll meet a lot of haters, of haters. Like these deer, I never used to kill them deer growing up. We shot anything. If they had horns, you just said how many points. If it was an 8-pointer, like, oh my God, so-and-so got an 8-pointer. It's probably 60 inches, but that's how it was back then. We didn't know, you know what I mean? You just went out there and hunted. Nobody thought you're not going to get 140 plus inch deer in New York and consistently kill them. There's no way you're going to keep killing these deer. I do it because I'm out there working hard. I'm out there the days that they're, golfing on the golf course, drinking beer, going out to bars. Now they're freaking who's vaping this and that. I'm in the woods. I'm waking up early. I have a side business. I seal coat driveways in the summertime. I have my own business. Before I do driveways, I'll be in the woods scouting. If I'm in the area where I hunt, I'll go in the woods, scout and check some cameras, and then go do jobs. Nobody else is doing that. That's the difference. It's like an obsession that I have, and my wife gets probably mad, but it's a good, I don't go out and drink. I'm not going to the bars. I'm not doing all this stupid shit. I'm out there getting exercise, seeing God, taking people out, giving somebody one of the better days of their life when they kill something with me. And I'm going to be a memory. And so I've took so many people hunting. I'm going to be a memory that they pass on to people I don't even know. They're going to tell stories about me, and their kids are going to tell stories about me. And I guess that's what it's about. The whole stories, the ones I have from my father, I know how good they are. I could tell you every deer I've shot. I've shot tons of deer throughout the years. And I could tell you just about every single deer, where it was, where I was, where my father was, what time of the day it was. I don't remember when my car keys were yesterday though, but I can remember all that stuff, and that's how impactful hunting is. And everybody I've taken that has gone and killed something, they remember it forever, forever. It's something they're going to tell their kids. They're going to see the horns of the turkey on the wall. And their kid's going to be dad, or their grandkid's going to be, what's that, Pop? And he's going to tell them, oh, this guy from New York took me out. It's just them stories. That's what it's all about. And the Mobile Hunter Expos, going there and meeting everybody, hanging out with Chris. Can't wait to hang out with you, and then hang out with like the Latitude guys and Adam and all these people. That's what it's about. And they create more stories, memories. I come back and tell my kids, like, oh, they see Latitude, right? I'm like, I helped set their booth up. I hung out with them. I went out partying with them. We ate dinner one night. And it's just so cool that I'm able to say, Dad, they'll go, well, watch Outdoor Your Dad. You know that guy? I'm like, yeah. And I'll show them a picture with them. They're like, they think I'm famous, but it's that memories and the camaraderie is what it's all about. And I don't give a shit if you shoot spike horns or 200-inch deer, or you hunt public, or you got a crossbow, or I don't really care at all. I don't hate anybody. Everybody hates on the pros on TV. Love them. I love them. You don't think that Mark Drury can't go out in public land to kill a deer? You're out of your mind. They all started hunting there. They all started hunting there back in the day. They all did. They all did it. Now they don't have to. I see it. You got to understand, it's an industry. They got to make money, right? Who's gonna pay money, and what sponsor are you getting sponsorship for killing a 100-inch deer, 120-inch deer all the time? They're not gonna.
Yeah. And they're good guys.
Kills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I just think that holding animosity for someone for not doing it the same style as you is just, I don't know. That's kind of foolish. But I think we're all on the same team. Come to the end of the day, and I think that some of the infighting, I think the only useful part of it, of only a very small portion of it, is to make sure that our kids are able to do it, to make sure it's a sustainable practice. And I see you passing down that to younger generations, and anyone that's willing to get involved, and that means a lot. And I love your talk about hard work and talent, because me and my dad always had this saying. He always would iterate this to me, because I was not a very talented individual, but I was a very hardworking one, is that it's kind of what you said, but hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I mean, that's the story of my life right there. And I love that you are passing that on, and the outdoors, and those sentiments are kind of what created who I am. So if you could do more of that, I would greatly appreciate it, because I need more friends that are crazy like me and willing to go to the lengths I am to chase deer. Let's talk a little bit about how hunting played in your recovery, actually, from this heart condition here, from your aneurysm. So you talked a bit about this in the past, and we've talked about it together, but I know when you're recovering from something like this, there's all sorts of medication and different kinds of therapy, and therapy can be great, medication can be great, but there's a lot of things that are kind of just bulk thrown at you, and they may not help you a lot. But I've noticed that in any of my physical ailments, getting outside, getting fresh air for one is good, but just the happiness and all of the chemicals kind of released, the dopamine and serotonin and everything, with doing something that you were born to do, especially as pure as something in the outdoors, has helped me physically recover from things. And you noted earlier on that that shooting and stuff has kind of been an excellent mental and physical reset for you after a crazy day. How did hunting in general, and how did shooting play a role in your recovery when it comes to your aneurysm?
For the longest time, I couldn't even look. I got a, they ripped me open. Like, I got a big scar. And for the longest time, I couldn't even, anytime I took a shower, I couldn't look in the mirror. I'd cover the mirror up. Like, I didn't even want to see myself. And I would get put every night I get put in this depression of, I can't believe that I have this scar, and every time I go to a water park or a swimming pool or whatever, I'm like, is somebody going to ask me about it? You know what I mean? They're going to see this. And I just felt like I was like an inferior person because I was that person. I'm going to win. Like, I'm not losing. I could take a shot, all this stuff. Like, I felt like I was invincible. Now it's like, I'm not. Like, people look at that and say, look at this guy. He's weak. Like, that was in my head. And it would just play this, I don't know, it would just like beat on me all the time. Every time I'm like, is somebody looking at my scar? I can't believe I got the scar. It's just a nonstop thing. And going to shoot the bow and hunting, when I was doing that, I wasn't thinking about any of that. Nobody's judging me in the woods. That's the best part about it. Nobody's judging me. Like Cam Hanes says, the woods, Mother Nature don't give a shit how much money you have, how good you look. Because I know you fucking put me in there, I'm outdoing you. I don't care who you are. I'm outdoing you. You're rich, you got this, and you got all these likes, and you got these shows. Put us on the top of the mountain, and we'll see who makes it down. So that's how, that's kind of how I feel. So it helped me a lot with the outdoors. And I guess that's part of the reason too. I'm out there. Nobody's, like I said, nobody's judging me. I know I'm good at that, right? I know I have this goal and I can do it. And while I'm out there, I don't know, I just wasn't thinking about that stuff. And then the shooting, everything, and the PTSD went away. Then I had the stress from the surgery. I'm shooting my bow, hunting, going the outdoors. That goes away. And then in 2022, my father dies unexpectedly. And that was so hard, right? Like I said, he was everything. Taught me everything. And I didn't know how to handle it. So again, instead of going to medications or alcohol or drugs or whatever, I took the best non-medicated way that I know how to deal with stress, and I started shooting a bow again. And I'm shooting a bow, and it would go away. It would just go away. And my father died. It was in February. He died. And then the first nice day, it was like April. I said, let me go outside and shoot. I go outside. I take my target. I take the tarp off it. I knock an arrow. Everything's good. As soon as I go to pull back, I just start breaking down like a little baby in the backyard. I couldn't even pull the bow back, right? So once I did it, it was probably like 5 minutes. I was in bad shape. And then, sorry.
No, you're good, man. This is as real as it gets, man. I love that. I love that this is a very pure thing to you, and I love that it's a very apparent to listeners how much this means to you. So please keep going.
Yeah, so I shoot the bow, and everything was good, and I kept doing it, and what the hardest thing was, I would call my father every day. I get out of work every single day. I call him because I live out by Albany, so I'm an hour and a half from where I grew up, and I would call him every day. No matter what, something happened, call him. Get a new hunting spot, see a deer, get a trail camera picture, call him. It's so hard. I would go to push his number and be like, he's not here, and it sucked, And I remember that season. I'm in the woods, and it was October. It was like 26th or 28th, something like that. It was the end of October. And I had some small bucks and does around me. I said, let me rattle. I rattle. As I'm rattling, I look up on this ridge, and I see a deer standing. I'm like, oh shit. Put my horns away, and I get the binoculars up, and I'm looking, and I can see it had horns, and all of a sudden it steps out, and it's 120 inches, which is big for here,
Yeah.
He just 8-pointer. I'm like, holy shit. And he's walking, but he was a tank. Like the body was huge on him. He's walking I'm down in this little bottom, this little valley, and he's on this logging road on top of the hill, and he's walking down it, and I'm grunting, and he's looking down the hill, and then he started going towards the field. And I'm like, damn it. I hang my bow up. A couple minutes go by. Look, I see a deer, and he's walking back. He's just going back and forth. And he did this 3 times, and he just keeps looking down there. It's wide open. He can see there's nothing there. The last time he's leaving to the field, going towards the field. There's a field like 50 yards in front. He's heading that way. And I'm like, I swear, I go, come on, Dad, send this deer to me. Come on, send it to me. All of a sudden, the deer stops. Freaking looks over his shoulder, looks back at me. I'm like, come on. Crosses his legs and comes right freaking down to me. So he's like 35 yards. I range it. He's walking. I'm going, he wouldn't stop. I drill him at 35. He runs like 5 feet from my tree and falls over. He dies right next to me.
Wow.
And it was so crazy. I was like, Dad, send me that deer. It's like the deer heard it because it stopped. And it just looked back. And it just, for some reason, it did it 3 times. You know what I mean? That's how, sometimes maybe there is something, So that was, I was sitting there looking at this deer, and he dressed out like 202 pounds. So that's really big for here. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was a mess again, I get the deer out. And everything started getting good. Started being easier, right? The more time goes, it still sucks. Every time I'm in a tree stand, I pray. Every single time, that's the other thing. Every time I get in a stand, I say a prayer. Every single, not to get anything, just to thank God that I'm here, that my family, and just grateful for everything. Never say, gotta get a deer. Just grateful for everything, right? Yeah, so I do that all the time. Like, I shot that deer, I said a prayer, like I talked to my dad, and we took it out, and like my dad's there, my uncle, like everybody's in the tree stand with me when I go hunt. And then you fast forward to, it was 5 days before the 1 year of my father. My little brother dies, 39. Fucked up again, right?
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I have a log cabin, and I was resealing the windows, and the phone rings, and it was a friend, and they go, Jeremy. I go, what? They go, it's your brother. I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, I don't know. It's not good. I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, the chief of police, who I went to school with, was there, and goes, Jeremy. I go, yeah. They go, this is Matt. I go, wow, what's going on? He goes, it's your brother, dude. It's not good. Get down here. Be safe, but get down here as quick as you can. I'm like, oh my God. My wife was just pulling out the driveway. I run down the road. Thank God she saw me when she was at the stop sign. Turn around, like, what? I'm like, it's Justin. Something happened. So we get in a vehicle, fly in there to the hospital, go to St. Elizabeth's. I still don't know if he's dead or not. Go there. My mother comes out. She's crying. We hug. And then I go, well, where is he? What's going on? She's like, you don't know? He's dead. And hit me like a ton of shit, So I go in there. I had to see him. So I go in there, and I remember having my hand on his head. Talk to him for like 10 minutes. Then I left. And then now I'm back again, right? So I said, so after my father was shooting and everything got better, now it's my brother. Now everything comes back. The PTSD, the surgery, my father, now my brother, right? So I go back to shooting a bow. And it got me over that time. And I'm still going to work. I'm still dealing with these criminals and these people that want to kill me, and still being sane, still doing good at my job. Nobody would have even known that somebody died in my family. But it's like I said, a strong mind, right? Strong mind. I don't let anybody know, like, everybody's got problems. So I say everybody's got problems. Nobody needs to know mine. I don't want to burden other people with my problems, right? So I kind of kept it all to myself, but I would go out out on the range, and I'd shoot, or I'd be in the tree stand, and that's where I would talk. That's where I would vent, in the tree stand. Talking to my grandparents, my father, now my brother. And the same thing, now I couldn't call my father, so I would call my brother all the time, right? Now I don't have him. Now I got nobody. So my hunting party's like gone, right? So that's why I hunt like 95% of the time by myself. Because everybody I hunted with, they're all, my father's friends are dead. Everybody that I hunted with, they're all passed. There's all old timers, and my brother and my father. We're really close. We did it every weekend. That was our life. And so now it's just me. Now I have my kids. I'm, bringing them up the same way my father brought me up, and that's why I like coming out, meeting you guys, meeting people, talking like this. You never know whose life you're going to touch, right? If this changes one person, it's worth it. It's like working out. I work out so hard. People go, "What do you work out so hard for?" I said, "Do you work out?" They go, "No." I said, "Well, that's why I work out, because you don't. You like to be average. I don't like to be the average person." But they go, "I know people that died, people that work out all the time and die. You could die. You could get hit by a car tomorrow." I'm like, listen, if I do all this suffering forever, all this suffering, if it all gets me one more day, I'll suffer my whole life working out. If it gets me one more day with my family, it's worth it. All them days suffer, just one more day is worth it. But people don't think about that. They're like, "Oh, do you get hit by a car tomorrow? Why do I want to kill myself now?" You know what I mean? Work hard now so you don't have to when you're older. That's why I try telling them. So my kids see it, and I'm just raising them that way. And man, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for hunting saved my life. If I wasn't hunting, if I didn't take off for hunting, I would have been dead, right? That, and then the shooting a bow. I mean, it was so easy for me to go to drinking or alcohol or I've never contemplated suicide or anything like that. I'm totally against it, but I sat there at them points in my life, said, I understand. It was my first time understanding how someone could do it. Not that I would ever do it, but I'm like, I get it. If I was weak-minded and I didn't have the things that I have, I would have done it probably. That's why I started understanding why these people do it. And I look at all the people that I had known in the military. I had my roommate try killing himself. I saved him overseas. I started understanding why now. All these same people, they all had this one trait, kind of. You know what I mean? Like they were similar in a way. I'm totally different than that. But at that one point, I understood why, because it hurt. Everything hurts so much. You want to stop that pain.
Yeah, and so to be very transparent, I've been suicidal before, and I've been very close to killing myself on multiple occasions, and I haven't thought in that manner in years, but that's a sobering feeling when you understand where someone's coming from in that position. I would say that a lot of times it has to do with thinking that this world might be better without you, and some of those thoughts sometimes prevail because you don't feel like you're providing value. You don't feel like you have anyone that cares for you. And that's what truthfully brought me back and brought me out of those feelings, is realizing who cared about me. And I was like, if this is no longer an option because those people that do care about me, I need to find a way to care about me. And now we hunt. Like I found my purpose, and passing it on is what helps me love who I am. And I would say that that challenge. So obviously there's direct results to exercising and stuff like that. But I think the beautiful thing of working out is everyone that doesn't understand it usually doesn't do it, or they think of it in terms of the destination. Like you're working out to be in great shape or to get more days on the end of your life. And that's true. Like those are great benefits, but I think that it's an amazing feeling when you know you've dedicated yourself, or you live in such a way that you may discover who the best version of yourself is by the end. And I think it's the day-to-day rewards, the feeling of satisfaction when you're challenging yourself, that, even if you fail at becoming the best person possible, you'll have lived your whole life for a noble purpose that you truly believe in and you would love to pass down to others. And I will point out a pretty great statistic. There have been lots of studies that have verified this, but working out 92 minutes per week, or just 15 minutes a day, which is more than what 80% of Americans do, but 92 minutes a week, so that's like one workout for you or me, reduces your risk of all-cause mortality, including cancer, any kind of reason that you could possibly die, by 14%. So you can essentially guarantee that if you work out 90 minutes per week, then you will have increased your lifespan by 14%. That is insane. There's water doesn't do that. Air doesn't do that. There's nothing on this earth that has such a linear relationship between longevity of life and health. There's nothing but working out that does that. It's on average like a 3-year longer life expectancy, which is absolutely wild. And it's absolutely more shocking that so many people actively advocate against exercise because they feel, what it really comes down to is they feel like inferior is not a fantastic word for it, but they're basically like, man, this guy's doing the same stuff I'm doing, and he's finding a way to work out and better himself. It doesn't make him feel great, and instead of resorting to being motivated and doing that, they resort to, well, that's not right. Like, screw this guy. And I think it's important to not be upset about the things you can't control, but be encouraged by the things you can, and take care of what you can take care of. And, a lot of the growth in my life, and I'm sure, Jeremy, you feel the same way about this, has come from, being uncomfortable with something or being like sad about a certain thing, and then being like, you know what? I don't have to just be sad or uncomfortable about it. I can go do something about it. I have the power to work through this. And I want to say to you as well, you do so much to pass this sport on to other people, and in general, just hard work on to other people. And that's infinitely valuable. And I know what it's like to be there, man, but you can literally call me anytime. I would love to talk about every damn one of your hunts this year, or how your day at work was, or anything like that. Not from the perspective that it may cause you to, stop some mental health. That's a good byproduct, right? It may increase your mental health, but dude, any chance I get to talk to someone that has aligned themselves with the goals you have is a chance for me to better myself too. And man, you're the kind of person I want to surround myself more with in my life. And I just really appreciate that you're willing to share this story, because it's a taxing one. It's an emotional one. And I don't think anyone on this earth can really say, unless they've gotten to the point of death, that they've gotten much closer to it than you have. And to have the motivated perspective and still have that drive and push afterward, it's just remarkable to me, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Gosh, I know a lot of people have already reached out to you about stuff like this, but is there a good way for people to contact you if you do want to continue providing, being a good source of advice or anything in these situations?
Yeah, they give me a Jeremy.Cavaretta on is it Cavaretta? Let me see what my Instagram. I don't even know what my Instagram thing is.
I know you got an email that's jeremy.cavaretta@yahoo.com. I know you gave that out before.
Horrible at checking emails a lot. Yeah, it's just Jeremy Cavaretta. No spaces.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it has, honestly, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I had to put myself on mute a few times when you're talking about your dad and your brother, because I was getting a little teary-eyed. I have a really, really, really strong relationship with my dad and brother, and thankfully they're still here. But you can see sometimes the inability, how many hunts I have left with my dad, for instance, and stuff like that. And I was just thinking this season, like, how much more of this do I really have? And I'm really thankful that I can understand what I have while I do have it. And I'm thankful for the example of people like yourself, that you're willing to put yourself out there and just show how much this means to you. And to recover from something like an upper aortic aneurysm and that surgery, and then be back and literally better than who you were beforehand is
I'm in better shape. I'm going to be 47. I'm in better shape now than I was back then. Like, that is crazy.
That's remarkable, man. I would say it's a miracle, but maybe it is a miracle that you've caught it at the point you did. But I give you full props for investing in who you are today, because no one put in the work besides you. And wow, you inspire me, Jeremy, and I know you'll inspire countless listeners. And this is been such a fantastic story, man. You have any other closing thoughts that you want to leave the listeners with? Any lessons that you want to take from this podcast?
And that's why I do this. I do this to inspire people, not to get famous, not to get clout or whatever. It's just I love, people say, "Oh, I got enough friends. I don't need any more." Not me. I love meeting people. I love meeting you guys. Like, I can't wait to hang out with you. All the people that I've met in the outdoor industry. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some are there's a lot of letdowns, right? You'll meet a lot of these people that you looked up to when you meet them, and they're really, they're assholes. And you're like, oh, but then you meet the other ones. You're like, wow, these guys are awesome. There's so many benefits of this, right? And this is something that my kids are going to be able to look at, right? So that's why I take so many pictures now in the last probably 5 years. I never really used to take pictures. Now, if you see my posts on like social media, I'm posting pictures. We're doing stuff. We're at sports. We're at the gym. We're in the woods. We're shooting, whatever. I'm posting because that's going to be there forever. My pictures, I mean, they're all faded. They got mildew down in the basement of my mom's house. The pictures of me and my dad, you don't have that stuff. Like, I wish I had something of my dad talking on a video, right? Something that your great grandkids could see. It's just, that's why I take pictures and why I post. And if you ever look, everything's positive. Like, I don't post anything negative. I got a lot of shit going on in my life. Why would I want to post that? All positive stuff. Anything is going to help people or, influence somebody. That's what it's all about. You can't, trust me, you can't. Because some of them come, some of them go. Hug your parents, hug your wife, hug your kids, because you never know. Literally never know. I go to bed, I walk upstairs every night. Kids are sleeping, I give them a kiss. Just because you never freaking know. This world is a crazy place. I see the craziest shit you could think of all the time. I see it, I read about it, I know about it. The people that I pick up and bring back to this state and put them back in jail, like, it's the craziest things you could possibly think of. And that's out there. You know what I mean? That's out there in society. You go to the mall, you go to these stores, there's bunches of them in the crowd. You know what I mean? And it's always in the back of my mind. So you never know, what's going to happen. So just like everybody, love everybody, stop being freaking haters. There's too much bad shit going on in the world today to get pissed off if somebody's hunting public or private or using corn or a freaking crossbow. Who cares? I understand some podcasts, that's their thing. That's their little thing. Let's just
Division creates popularity.
Right? There's some of them, out there, and I like it and I watch it. It's just like, they poke at people and it's like that little click thing, and that's their thing. I get it. I listen to it, but you don't need to be like that. Who cares? You're not, just because you live in Florida, right? There's guys in Florida that they don't have big deer, right? But I guarantee you that guy that kills the biggest deer consistently there can go to Iowa and kill a monster buck. But just don't. I hate when people shit on them because they don't. It's all about inches. Yeah, but what are you comparing it to? Look at the record books. How many deer over 180 inches come from Florida? Right? Probably none. You know how many? Well, tons of them, right? So you're going to shit on this guy because he don't kill 180. Well, you don't have them. Same thing here. We don't have them deer. We don't have 200-inch deer running all over the place. There's only been one or two ever in our state. But it doesn't mean you're not a good hunter. And you'll see that. You'll go to these shows and there's something that's all about, well, what'd you kill? How big are your deer? Who freaking cares how big the deer are? You know what I mean? But that's how a lot of people are. And that's the only thing I hate about the industry is some of them, that's all they care about is that's it. Just be kind, man. Stop being haters. Fucking hate haters.
Yeah. I would
be the hater doing better than you.
Yeah. I would say no one's really hated on someone that they were doing better than.
Losers focus on winners, and winners focus on winning. It's just how it is.
That's one of my favorite lines, man. That's a fantastic point, and I would just echo what you're saying about, don't worry about the people that are trying to hold you back. Don't listen to the people that say you can't. Just find a way to do it no matter what, and try to bring each other up while we do it. Share the experiences, share the stories, whether they're painful, sad, or happy. Like, you can help someone learn from it and get a better life, do it. Because, I mean, right now you've seen the results of inspiring many people, and you've inspired me, man. You've actually inspired me. I'm going to get off this call right now and actually call my parents and call my dad and check in on them and everything. And, man, it's just...
Anybody could do it. Listen, I am nothing. I'm a nobody from freaking upstate New York, right? But I did it. I overcome a lot of things. If I could do it, I'm telling you, if I could do it, you could do it. I've always, in my life, everybody say, well, you think you could do this? And I say, can you do it? Yeah. Well, then if you could do it, I could do it. Or did somebody else do that? Yeah. If there's people that do it, well, then I could do it. That's it. And if I could, I'm telling you right now, I am not talented. I just work hard. And if I could do it, anybody could do it. You just got to be willing to work hard. Nothing's free. Nothing's easy. Nothing's given to you. It's about not punching the clock till you're done, right? That's life, man. That's jobs. It's family. It's everything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, Jeremy, it's been an absolute honor to have you on. This is certainly an episode of Wild Calling Wednesdays I will never forget. I can't tell you how thankful I am to have you on here and tell your story. So thank you so much.
Such an honor, dude. Such an honor. I love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You do a good job. That whole crew, all your buddies, like they're all great. They're all great people. I can't wait to the Mobile Hunter Expo to actually like see you guys and hang out with you. You know what I mean, in person. I really can't wait.
It's gonna be a blast, man. We'll have to have a good night together, and I'll have to buy you dinner or something like that because, man, I appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast. The best way you can support the podcast is by sharing online and with your buddies at Deer Camp. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram and leave us a 5-star review.